Hey everybody!
Hey everybody!
Welcome back to the homestead. How's everybody doing? Adjusting to the time change? Gosh, it's hard to believe that it's 6 o'clock and it's still like perfectly light out. That's pretty amazing, actually.
It's wonderful.
I love this time of year with more daylight in the evening. If we could keep this all year round, this would be much better for me.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy when it gets dark at 5 p.m.
Right. Yeah, but it's darker in the morning, which is good and bad, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got coffee in the morning to wake you up.
That's true.
And in the evening, at least by the time you get to be my age, coffee in the evening. That doesn't work
Your
so much.
age. You're not that old.
I tell that to my bladder when I have coffee in the
Oh my
evening.
gosh. Yeah. The weather is gorgeous here
Oh my
today
gosh.
and this week.
It was 70, I think 71 or 72 today. I worked outside pretty much all day, cutting down little trees. And so, yeah, it was a gorgeous day today. We've got a day this week. I think Wednesday, it's supposed to be 81 degrees.
Wow.
Which, I mean, like last week, we had days in the like barely above freezing.
Yeah.
So,
well, I can tell you that warm weather means I need to get my butt in gear and like prune the orchard trees. I haven't done that yet. And
now we need to walk out and see if the grapes are starting to come to life or anything like that, because all that stuff's going to start to happen really quickly.
Absolutely.
Now.
Which also means once that happens, I need to fertilize. And so things are just going to get kicked into gear here pretty soon, pretty quickly.
Well, before we get started, let's thank the people who are helping us tonight. As always, we have the same people helping us. We have our good friends, Rich and Shelley from Air to Ground Farms and Air to Ground Meats, moderating for us in the background. They are going to be fielding questions and all that kind of stuff for us. If you are ever in our area, in the Ava, Missouri area, and you are looking for some amazing farm fresh meat, well, frozen, but fresh from their farm, raised on their farm, raised with non-GMO feed, grass-fed beef, Air to Ground Meats in Ava is their store, and it's an amazing place.
Yeah, beef, pork, lamb, chicken.
There you go.
And they have a little store near the squares. Did you say that already? Anyway, this is their storefront. Looks amazing. And when you go in there on Saturdays, generally Rich and Shelley are there on Saturdays for sure. And then during the week when they're open, their daughter Rebecca is normally the one that is in there, but they come in and out too as well.
Yeah.
So stop by and get some great meat. Support local ag, local meat.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other person helping us is our son-in-law, Gavin. He is going to be moderating in the comment section. So thank you, Gavin, for helping. If you are in need of a realtor here in the Ava area or in this part of Missouri, Gavin is a realtor. He has grown up here his entire life. His whole family is from here, so he knows the area really well.
And his family farms.
So
he knows all the ins and outs about what to look for.
Right. So that's his info there on the screen. Give Gavin a shout if you need help with any real estate.
Yeah. And while Kevin was here working diligently and hard work all day long, actually, I did something that I have not done in a really long time. Grace and I spent the day in Springfield and we went thrifting together, looking through various thrift stores. I think we went to like 4 different thrift stores. We got coffee and had lunch together, and it was a really great time. But by early afternoon, we were all pretty peopled out and came back so that I could be part of the live stream today. But we had a really great time. Got some deals. I got mostly sweaters, and she got a few things too. So it was really good.
Tomorrow I'm going shopping, and Sarah's going to cut down trees and run them through the wood chipper. So just to be even.
No. But if you want to do that, I'll do all the chores and then I'll just do other things. Hey, I can prune the orchard trees. If you and Gavin want to go thrifting tomorrow, like Grace and I did.
I don't think
maybe
so.
You and Rich.
Maybe we'll go shoot something.
Okay.
Seems more manly.
It does. But you can go.
One of these days I am going to go coyote calling because that's...
With Gavin?
Maybe if he wants to. But... that's fun.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, that's about the only thing to legally shoot right now is coyotes this time of year, and we've got a lot of them around, and we've been having some problems with things around. So luckily none of our animals have gotten killed, but I've caught several coyotes and bobcats and stuff on our trail or on our security cameras. So I know they're around, and so, but we're good about locking the animals up before it gets really dark.
You know what is really annoying out right now?
What?
Armadillos.
Oh.
We have these armadillos, true. And last time Rich and Shelley were over, I think I went on like a tirade of like a time.
And there's no armadillo season, so we can they're another thing we can take care of.
Are ridiculous. They're not supposed to be here. They were introduced, probably 50 years ago.
No, I think they've just migrated.
Do you think?
Mm-hmm.
I thought somebody said they were introduced.
No, I think I've read they're slowly migrating north.
Anyway, if you don't know what armadillo damage looks like, it's just like they just dig like 6-inch holes down in the ground.
And they root like a pig almost.
Yeah. Because they're looking for grubs and things in the ground, but they're everywhere and you trip in them, and so they're just holes all over the place.
Right.
And so we are going armadillo hunting almost every night and have not gotten one.
Is it really hunting then?
Well, yeah.
We're walking around looking for them.
We're not successful, but we're still hunting for them.
True. I guess we still call it fishing when we go to the lake. We're not very successful at that either, but
We're hoping to get better fishing this year.
Right.
And I've been studying.
I used to be an awesome fisherman growing up in Wisconsin. Like, I spent so much time fishing. And then almost 20 years in the Phoenix area completely ruined me, I guess, because now apparently I'm not a very good fisherman, but we'll get back.
Growing up where you did, like, you learned all the spots. You learned all the good fishing spots from your mom and your grandma, actually.
Right.
And so you knew where to go. You knew the seasons. You knew when the white bass would run and you knew the seasons of the fish.
Right.
Well, now we don't live in Wisconsin anymore. And now we live
new lakes, new climate.
Yeah.
So
I've been studying the YouTube videos about how to fish and where to fish in these lakes. I've been taking notes like a super nerd. And I've been looking at the maps of the different lakes and finding the best places to go fishing. And we still haven't caught any fish, but we're going to.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
This is our summer.
This is our summer to catch fish. Yeah. So what do you have? You have some things you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Well, a couple things. Yeah. First of all, everybody always wants to know what we're drinking. So tonight we're drinking basically the same thing we're always drinking, which are the True Lime packets.
True Lime or True Lemon.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like freeze-dried fruit, basically, or
and other things.
Right. But so they're low carb, but they're all natural. They're no fake colors or flavors or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But because I've been working outside all day and it was actually warm, I've added a few other things to mine today to make it into like an electrolyte drink. So I'll show you that. First of all, salt. So I always put about a half teaspoon of just pure, this is Redmond's real salt.
In a quart.
In a quart. Jar. So I put about a quarter or a half a teaspoon of that. I put about 1/8 of a teaspoon of potassium chloride, which you can buy this on Amazon. I think maybe we have it in our shop. I don't know.
I don't think so.
So potassium chloride, which all of this stuff is pretty cheap. And you're using 1/8 of a teaspoon at a time. This is like a lifetime supply. Mm-hmm. And then a quarter teaspoon of magnesium malate, which is another thing that, it's not quite as much, but I think a jar of this was like $10 maybe. So it'll last. I mean, I think we're on our third summer with it now. So those three things together, along with the drink mix, is perfect. And really, I'll tell you, this recipe came from, what's that?
Element.
The Element company.
LMNT.
Right. You hear a lot of people promote them. We don't work with them in any way, but on their website, they actually have a recipe to make your own electrolyte drink in case you don't want to buy theirs, which
seems odd, but it's nice.
But yeah. But so this is the recipe to basically make your own version of their drink. And honestly, it comes out to be really cheap, but it does a really good job. You can really feel your body soaking up all the good stuff after you've been out in the sun all day.
Yeah. Well, what else? You had something else you want to talk about too? It's tick season here already,
Right.
in Missouri.
Yeah.
Yesterday we were doing a little bit of hiking, looking around, and I noticed a tick crawling up my pants. And also, when I was milking, I noticed that my milk cow Babe, she had a couple ticks on her udder already. So I'm like, oh no, here come the ticks.
Yeah. So today, or knowing that I was going to be out cutting all these little trees down today, last night I decided to prepare the clothes that I was going to wear today with the spray that we use. So I thought I'd show you that. It's called what's it called?
What are you talking about?
Sawyer spray. Sorry, it's been a long day. Sawyer spray. It's a permethrin spray, and you spray this on the outside of your clothes, and
not while they're on you.
Not while they're on you.
So like hang them on a line or something,
Right.
and then spray both sides of whatever clothing you want to wear.
Right. So you spray this on, you let it dry, and then it'll stay on your clothes for like 6 weeks or 6 washings. And I can tell you, I worked outside. I was out there about 7 hours today, covered in, brush and all this stuff. And I didn't have a single tick on me when I got in the shower. So that's amazing.
Right. So what we do is we always spray all of our work pants. I think I have like 3 or 4 pairs of work pants. You probably have about the same. Kevin's long socks, I spray all of them. And then our work boots, whichever boots we're going to be working in, I spray those. And oftentimes I'm not good about keeping up with like the dates, but because there has been really an uptick in tick-borne illnesses in this area, including alpha-gal, this year I'm going to be putting in my calendar when I need to respray because it's super important.
Right.
And all of those tick-borne illnesses are terrible. Kevin had Ehrlichia 2 summers ago, which was awful.
Right.
And we are also just trying to stay healthy and not get alpha-gal. So.
Right. Yeah, we actually have several families at our church who have at least one member of their family now with alpha-gal. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's an allergen. It's an allergen, and it comes from tick bites from normally the Lone Star tick, which most of the tick diseases come from Lone Star ticks. Yeah, and they after you're bit with it, it makes you allergic to the alpha-gal protein that's in red meat or in mammalian meat. Yeah. And once you have it, my understanding is once you have it, you're pretty much going to have it for life. I mean, there are people who claim to have overcome it. I've read people saying that like acupuncture and stuff like that can help with it, but I don't know that to be necessarily true. I'm trying to do more research into it, but it makes you allergic to mammalian meat. And from then on out, like some people, like the symptoms really vary. Some people just get like diarrhea and stomach upset and stuff like that. But some people get like full blown like anaphylaxis from it. So it can be pretty serious. And as farmers who raise a lot of mammals, we don't want to become allergic to mammal meat.
Well, it's not just the meat too. So
you
can not like milk.
Oh, right. No milk. So
butter,
no dairy
cheese.
Products of any, like nothing that came from a mammal.
Right. If that were to happen to us, we would have to, first of all, like our freezers are filled with beef and pork.
Right.
So that would be terrible.
Right.
And we'd have to get rid of our milk cow. We'd have to, I don't know, start raising emus or ostriches or something like that.
You know, it's never too early to prepare by getting some emus.
Emus are the new donkey.
Hey, I've heard that somewhere before. I don't know where.
Yeah. Anyway, we do want to encourage you all to ask us some questions today. I see that we have a couple in the queue that we're going to start answering. We don't necessarily have a specific agenda tonight because we've just been kind of busy and we're just kind of going with the flow.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing, because I know a lot of you have asked for updates on my dad.
Oh, yeah.
If you could be praying for my dad again. He was in the hospital the last 2 days, but he did get to come home today, but he has pneumonia. Seems to be going away. They had him on some pretty heavy antibiotics through an IV in the hospital, and he's doing pretty good tonight, but just keep him in your prayers. You know, he's got several health issues related to exposure to Agent Orange during Vietnam, and it's really kind of causing him some hard times. So keep him in your prayers. I know we got a lot of people out there who will pray for us and pray for him, and we sure do appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, let's go to a couple questions. And the first question we're going to answer is about fishing in our area, which is fun. This is from Tracy Thorson.
Okay.
Do you guys ever fish at Bull Shoals? We used to have a houseboat vacation on that lake. It was beautiful.
We have fished at Bull Shoals Lake. We don't do a lot of fishing there, even though technically that's the closest lake to us. That's not our favorite lake to go fishing on, but mainly because they changed the water level so much. That, and in the summertime, when we really have the time to be going, there's just a lot of like recreational boaters there, and it makes it a little harder to fish. So, but it is a beautiful lake. It's a beautiful, like all the lakes in this part of Missouri are beautiful.
Most of the lakes in Missouri, if you're not from around here, they're man-made in that the Army Corps of Engineering has basically created a dam that stops up the water in a river. Right. And there's like this huge like holler, I guess. I mean, like, so basically it's backed it up and dammed it up and created several different lakes. I think there are probably 3 or 4 lakes in the southern part of Missouri that the Army Corps of Engineering has done that. Right. And so that's how
many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the kind of lakes that we have. Lots of fingerlings and not just like a big old circle.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here is one that we can answer here.
Okay.
From Baby Root. Random question. Hi guys. Do you or have you made your own dog food and freeze dried it?
Dog food, I mean, not like daily dog food. We've made dog treats.
Yeah.
We freeze dried liver for the dogs. We freeze dried like chicken feet and duck feet for the dogs. I'm trying to think if there are other things that we've done
not specifically for the dogs. No. I don't think.
No. Yeah. So mainly the liver and like the dried feet and stuff like that.
And Jennifer Myers, what is your favorite brand and type of freezer and why on the type, chest or stand up? I don't think we have a favorite brand. I don't think we were picky about the brand.
No.
Overall, I think we use chest freezers more.
Right.
We do have one stand-up freezer, and I reserve that more for veggies and cheese and things like that. Yeah. But mostly we use chest freezers for our meat.
Right. Yeah. And because we separate by.
Yeah, I just organize them by type of cut.
Right.
Basically, and this year I used flattened boxes to create sections in my freezer, and that really helped. I wish it hadn't taken me 9 years to develop that process.
One thing
very helpful.
One thing that we do have that we really like is we have a refrigerator that doesn't have a freezer. It's all refrigerator. The full thing is refrigerator, and that is really nice, especially during big harvest season and like now when we're getting a lot of milk. Yeah, and that's really nice.
Well, it's been nice too because we can chill 25 Cornish cross chickens in there at a time. No, we don't raise Cornish cross right now. Not that we never will, but we could put 25 in there to chill overnight before we bag them.
Right.
It's big enough that we can put a whole hog in there, cut up into primals. We could probably put 2 full deer in there, cut up in primals. So it's really nice when you're living this lifestyle to have access to a lot of refrigerator space.
Right.
And that full size refrigerator is super duper helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else on that topic?
I don't think so.
Okay. From Wendy Marino, my last batch of chickens were not well. Why would they eat their own eggs? You know, that happens sometimes, and it is very frustrating, I will say.
Right.
I'm not sure if anybody has ever answered the question as to why they would do that.
Right. I think a lot of times it starts just like there's one chicken who starts and it just kind of becomes a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they all just kind of start, you know, once it's broken open, they all start kind of pecking at it.
Mm-hmm.
My recommendation is if you have a chicken who's starting to eat its eggs, get rid of that chicken.
If you can identify
who it is, get rid of that chicken before it teaches everybody else, because it is a really bad habit. And I think really that's what it becomes, almost like an obsession for them. And my understanding is once they start that, it's almost impossible to break them of that habit. So
yeah, we haven't had that happen in a while.
No, when we were still in Arizona, we had 1 or 2 chickens who would eat their own eggs, and we got rid of them.
Yeah. Karn Axiom is asking, how much of a change was it for you two to downsize when you became empty nesters?
I'm not sure we've mastered that yet. So,
still working on it.
Yeah, I mean, we are trying to think of things differently. Like, you know, we no longer need to raise 50 chickens a year. We raise 25 chickens a year for meat. You know, I usually get only 1 or 2 deer for us during deer hunting season. I usually get more than that. I'll give the rest away either to our kids or to people at church. I think even in the garden, though, we're starting to plan a little differently. Like this year, we're growing only half the number of peppers that we've grown in the past. So yeah, it's been different, but I don't think it's been hugely different.
No, because honestly, especially when we're talking about gardening and volume, you know, every year we've assessed based on what we have left in the pantry and the freezers and stuff like that, how much we need to plant for the next year. So we've always had to adjust in that way. It's just that now it's been a longer time frame in between when we've really needed to do big harvests to like restock things. Yeah. So we're not perfect at it. We're still adjusting. We're still in changing mode. Yeah.
Now all the seedlings the seeds that we planted 2 weeks ago in the video that we did about planting seeds, they're all up. So
yes, they are.
We're excited about that. Even some of the ones that Rich and Shelley wanted that they told us were super hard to get started, they're all up and growing well. So the Harold St. Bart's, I'll tell you, I almost lost hope because they took forever. But they started to come up about 3 or 4 days ago, and they're already like that tall. So we're super excited.
The method that I chose to do on the seeds that we thought were going to be really, really hard to germinate is I just right away just put 2 seeds down in each hole just to make sure we would get good germination. And that has done the trick. But honestly, most of them have double that have both of them have germinated. Yeah.
So, but I'll tell you, I was a little worried for a little bit.
I was too, actually.
We didn't want to let them down,
no.
but they're up. So we're off to the races.
Yeah. Veronica Hart asked, have y'all ever thought about using beneficial nematodes to cut down on ticks? I will say ahead of time that we have had a little bit of experience using beneficial nematodes. We did introduce some in our garden in the Phoenix area before we moved here. We weren't there long enough to see if there were any benefits. It wasn't to control ticks. There were no ticks there. It was just to kind of liven up. I mean, get the biology of the soil to be better.
Right.
Now, when it comes to nematodes here to cut down on ticks, to be honest with you, we have too much land. That
was my thought too. We have 100, little over 120 acres, and it would be impossible to especially in the wooded areas. I mean, because a lot of the wooded areas are like, you know, I mean, they're impossible. So,
and the area near the house and stuff, and we really control the ticks mostly by keeping the yard mowed, keeping the lawn areas mowed. And that does.
We rarely have issues with ticks close to the house. It's in the wooded area.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that beneficial nematodes would not help.
Right.
It may very well. And I encourage people to try those to keep the ticks down in your area. But it just would be too much. It just too much to do
Right.
for us. Yeah.
And along those same lines, that's why we, guineas really haven't helped. We used to have guineas, again, with so much land, and in Missouri, I mean, we just have a lot of ticks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a part of the country where, like there's some parts of the country where it's rare to see a tick. You might get a couple in the entire summer.
Mm-hmm.
Here, it's not uncommon to get,
30 a day.
Right.
On your clothing.
Right. If you're not spraying with like the Sawyer spray and you're in the woods, I mean, you might have 30 ticks on you by the time you get done for the day.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of ticks here.
Mm-hmm. We do. Question here from Ronnie Brace. Do you think you would ever stock your pond?
We actually did. The very first year we moved onto this place, we put some fish into the pond, and there's a few things. The pond, our biggest pond. Now we have four ponds. 3 of them are just small little runoff ponds
for cattle.
They're all runoff ponds, but they're for cattle. Now the bigger pond, it's big enough that we probably could put fish in it, but it needs to be dug back out.
Mm-hmm.
Because the cattle have had access to it. The banks are kind of caving in, and it really needs to be dug back out. And I have planned on having that done for the last few years. And then we also get a lot of water meal on the top, which is like duckweed, but a little bit smaller, but it creates a layer over the entire thing in the summer. So I need to do something about that as well, because after we had put a bunch of fish in there, but then it like basically suffocates the fish when the weather gets hot. Mm-hmm. So I've looked at maybe putting a big aerator in the middle of the pond, but we also really need to take care of that duckweed and stuff. And I know a lot of people have suggested, why don't we put the ducks in the pond? That really isn't an option. First of all, because of predators, and it's just, I don't know. It's just not something we're going to do. So I need to find something that, I mean, I'm probably going to have to use a chemical as much as I don't want to.
Well, and that's the reason why we really haven't done it yet.
But I'm trying to find something that will be hopefully a one-time thing that we can do one time and never have to do it again. And then afterwards, we really need to keep the cattle out, which now that we have water lines run all over the property, the cattle don't need access to that pond. They can get water in other areas. So we would love to stock it. We would love to stock the pond.
Once it's ready.
Right. There's just a lot of steps prior to that.
Yeah.
So we're not wasting our money.
Yeah. The Little French Homestead said, hey, my daughter and I got tickets to the Ozark Homesteading Expo. This will be our first one. Can't wait to see you guys. Are you hosting a seminar? Well, we will be presenting.
Right.
We have no idea what we're going to talk about yet. A lot of times that's kind of not last minute. Cheryl bugs us, a couple months ahead of time.
Right.
But yes, we will be there.
We will be there for sure. And we will be talking about something.
Yes. There's also a ladies conference that Cheryl puts on through the Ozarks Homesteading Corporation or whatever. In May, it's a 1 week long, like hands-on, very intensive week of learning. And I will be there also for one full day. I'll be there. And it's very possible, I haven't checked with her, but it's possible that there could be tickets available yet. So if you're interested in that, check out the Facebook page. I know that she has talked about it on there.
Yeah.
Let me see here. From Hedgehog's Homestead, what kind of cow would you recommend for a first timer?
Well, it depends what you want it for. If you're talking about a dairy cow or like for beef.
Yes.
So if you're talking about a dairy cow, we recommend jerseys.
I love jerseys.
Right.
And I absolutely would recommend them. They have wonderful milk, and it's full of lots of wonderful butter fat and cream and things. So yeah, we love jerseys.
Right.
As far as beef cattle, I think we'd probably recommend the Herefords because that's what we raise.
Right.
And we like their temperament.
They're very gentle. If you spend time with them, they're very, very friendly. The
Yeah.
one thing I would say, and this is maybe going to ruffle some feathers, especially within the homesteading community, but I would say don't go with a mini anything. That's my recommendation. If you're going to get into raising cattle, you need to be able to have a market for it when you either raise them to sell or whatever. And anything mini is going to be, you're going to reduce your market very, very much. So,
and honestly, you're going to pay a lot more for them as a specialty breed,
right,
than if you would go with a more standard size.
Right.
And I feel the same way also about the dairy cows.
Right.
Honestly,
right. You can get mini jerseys, and my understanding is they still eat just about the same amount of hay. You'll pay about 3 times as much for one. And
yeah,
to me, I don't know. That's just my recommendation.
Yeah.
I mean, do what you want, but
Right.
my recommendation is don't go with a mini anything. Just get a full size
Yeah.
cow, and you'll love it.
Yeah, it'll be okay. There is a time of adjusting to a large animal, but
Once you get used to them,
yeah.
I mean, the cattle are. I used to always say pigs were my favorite animal on the homestead, but really the cattle are my favorite.
Yeah, me too.
I really enjoy them.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a quick question from Cheryl Spiel. Sarah, can you share the website for your shirts again? And please. Yes, I get all of my faith-based shirts from ellieandgrace.com. And they're a Missouri company, small company, and they are really great people.
There's a link in the description of all of our videos, and I think there's a discount code, right?
Probably LTH10.
Probably.
LTH10. We try to keep it the same for any discounts we have. Collins DDC says, I remember you saying you grew hyssop. What do you use it for? We like anise hyssop. And Kevin really likes the flavor of it.
Right.
So I grow it so that I can dry it or freeze dry it and have it for tea.
I love it for sun tea in the summer too, just fresh, not dried.
Yeah.
It makes great sun tea. It tastes. I know I mean, obviously it's supposed to taste like anise, which is like black licorice.
Yeah.
But to me, it tastes a lot like root beer.
Yeah, it does.
And specifically, it reminds me of the root beer barrel candies that we used to get as kids. And as a sun tea, oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Now you got me really wishing it was summer.
Soon.
It will be soon. That's good. I'm ready to start complaining about the heat.
Oh, no. Jeannie Malier asked, or she said, I watched the video where you both tried eating liver and it cracked me up. Just wondering if you guys ever got it to where you could eat it other than in a powder form.
No. No.
No.
But we like it in powder form, and we add it to our burgers and stuff like that. So
yeah,
we consider that a win.
For sure. This is complicated, and I really hope that you know, because I surely don't. From YouTube user, can you explain amps and is that kilowatts for electric fence testing and what levels are good?
Amps, no, I can't explain. Kilowatts, I mean, just based on the little reader thing that we have, the tester thing. I'm not good at electric stuff at all, but I can tell you normally 8 to 10,000 watts. So 8 to 10 kilowatts, I believe is that.
Oh my gosh, don't hold us to this.
Right. But that's about what you're shooting for most animals to keep in. Some of our fences are more like 4 or 6, depending on if there's stuff growing on them or not. But somewhere in that range, you want a pretty good shock.
Yeah. Okay. Lula Mommy? Sorry. When you freeze dry liver for your dogs, do you have a lingering odor in your freeze dryer after the process is completed? Also, do you cook the liver or keep it raw? Thank you.
I've never noticed an odor afterwards, and we keep it raw.
We do keep it raw.
Yeah.
Most of the time after I'm done using the freeze dryer, I leave the door at least cracked. I don't ever really close it all the way because I'm
Right.
afraid moisture is going to get in there and then it's going
Right.
to get moldy and stinky.
Right. And leave the drain valve open.
Right. So maybe that's why, but I don't remember ever having an odor from something like liver. Onions can be pretty stinky.
Right.
Peppers can be pretty stinky, but honestly, as long as I leave the door open, it kind of airs out. So it's no big deal.
Right.
Oh, we might as well talk about it. From Jeannie Malier. Kevin, are you intentionally growing your hair out? Let's just talk about it because people keep bringing it up.
I'm intentionally not cutting my hair. How about that? I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest. It just started with, winter time. And then I thought, I've had basically the same corporate haircut for the last 20 years. And maybe it's time to do something different. So I just stopped cutting it over the winter and there we go.
You know what? It's getting really curly in the back.
It is.
It's super cute.
I have. Okay, I'll take my hat off because I never take my hat off. It's actually not too bad right now.
Do the crazy thing. We love it when you do the crazy thing.
My hair is actually really really curly. So I don't know what I'm doing. I'll probably get sick of it when the weather starts to get hot and cut it. But for now, it's just kind of going crazy.
Yeah. Let's see here. From Paul Chauvin. Question: what method of storing fresh tomatoes do you find works the best tomatoes for daily use? Well,
for
fresh
eating, I mean,
we just put them on the counter.
We just put them on the counter. You should really never refrigerate tomatoes. Although I will say the times that I have refrigerated some, like if we get too many, if you leave them back out for a day or so, they pretty much go back to tasting pretty good. But you should always eat them at room temperature.
Yeah.
You never want to eat a cold tomato.
We just bring them in the house and eat them within a couple of days. And if those that don't get eaten within a couple of days either go in the refrigerator until I can process them or I just process them.
Most of the tomatoes I eat are around 90 degrees when I eat them because I just eat them right out in the greenhouse.
Yeah.
So
last year, you did not have a salt shaker out there. So we need to make sure that you get a salt shaker out there. I know. Yeah.
I'm still on the lookout for the best, like, weatherproof salt shaker. I've tried so many, but they all still get, I need something that can really hold up to the humidity and stuff. So
yeah. Thomas Poteet asked, have you two tried to grow apricot trees in Missouri?
We haven't.
We have not, because there is a particular variety, which I would have to look up again, that I'm looking for. I really want to grow apricots because I love apricots.
We grew them in Arizona.
Yes, we did. The issue with growing apricots here in Missouri is that apricots generally flower early, and then we notoriously get a frost, and then all of the blossoms freeze and fall off, and then you rarely get a harvest.
Right. That's really the problem with all the fruit trees.
Right. So there is a variety of late blooming apricots that Stark Brothers carries, but I haven't ever gotten the timing right to order it when it's in stock. So it must be super duper popular. So I want to. We just haven't here.
Right.
But that's on my planting bucket list. Big Mammal asked, are you done with quail? If so, why?
Big Mammal.
Big Mammal?
Mammal.
Sorry.
I'm temporarily done with quail. I have no idea how long, but I've still got all of my equipment for raising quail. We've just had so many things going on the last couple of years, and so yes, I think it was last summer that I quit raising quail. I don't know. I enjoy raising quail, but they are, they're just another thing to take care of. And they were kind of the low man on the totem pole, so to speak. So they had to go. So I do miss them from time to time, and I really miss having their eggs. But for right now, yes, I am done with raising quail, at least for now. But I won't get rid of all the equipment because I know I'll get them again in the future.
Yeah. This is a hard question, but I know what they're asking and I understand their frustration. And it might be hard to describe how to do what they're asking. So Tyler S. asked, we are trying to create a new orchard / garden space on about 1 acre. Any suggestions on making the space square and lined up with sides of the field that are not square, since the distances are long? The reason why we understand your frustration is that our garden space inside our chicken moat was not square, and it was really hard. It was like messing with us because the driveway was like nothing was perpendicular, and
like even the chicken moat, like the corners of the chicken moat are not 90-degree angles, right? So the whole thing is, what's that? A trapezoid?
Sure.
Is that what that's called?
I don't like geometry, so
I think it's called a trapezoid, like the weird angles on a.
So I understand your frustration, but it's hard to describe how we figured it out. And we did end up, basically, we end up making our rows for the orchard and the grapes and the berries, everything perpendicular to our driveway, because when I drive down the driveway, if things are not like perpendicular in my brain, like my brain just goes like crazy.
So you got to pick one side, and you got to decide that's where everything's going to line up with that side, basically.
Yes. And so everything else, like behind it and around it, end up being a little bit wonky, but it looked good because everything was perpendicular from the driveway.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. That probably didn't help, but we understand your frustration because the lines would all get like googly.
Right.
Yeah. So Tessa Enjoys Life said, hi, Sarah and Kevin. Great channel. Thank you. Do you guys mill your own flour from wheat berries? If so, what kind of mill? Electric or manual? And what brand do you recommend if you do mill?
Well, we don't eat wheat anymore, doing keto. We really don't eat grains at all anymore.
Right.
But we used to mill our own wheat when we did eat all of that, especially for making bread. And I think it's called the Wonder Mill.
Is it Wonder Mill or Nutrimill? I'm trying to look here.
I think the one we have is called Wonder Mill. It's an electric.
We do like the electric ones.
We've had 2 of them though. So you're right. I don't remember.
I know. I'm pretty sure that some of my other online friends are using a Nutrimill, but I think you are correct that ours is a Wonder Mill.
Correct.
I'm gonna look.
But we also have some hand ones,
for emergencies.
But yeah.
Yes, we have a Wonder Mill. I just checked on my phone.
Yes, that is the one we have. Yeah.
And I would say it worked really great for us, except on corn.
Right.
And we don't eat corn anymore either. But when I made cornbread, like I love to make cornbread. And I love to make it with like corn flour rather than corn meal. And the Wonder Mill didn't do very well with dried corn.
It would do like coarse ground. It would do corn meal.
It would just get bound up.
Yeah.
So if I were going to get back into grinding grain, I would probably look for a different, I might actually try the Nutrimill.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, you guys. While I'm looking, Beth asked, how do you avoid your starts from getting tall and spindly?
This is something we struggled with for years when we first started selling, like at the farmer's market and stuff. The really what it comes down to is you need to control the temperature. You can adjust your lights and all of that as well, but like for tomatoes and things, when they're seedlings, you want to keep them in the like 50 to 60 degree range, like 55 to like 65 degrees while they're in that seedling stage until you're ready to start hardening them off and putting them outside. The warm temperatures are what make them get really tall. I mean, they'll grow toward the light, so you also need to have your lights adjusted correctly, but you really want to try to keep the temperature cool, especially for tomatoes.
You also want to introduce an oscillating fan if you're growing them inside, and that will make the stems of your plants thick and hardy.
Right.
So there's really not an easy recipe for making sure they don't get tall and spindly. You need to have the correct lighting. If you're growing next to a window, they're going to get super tall and lanky because they're growing toward the sunlight out the window. That's why people have grow lights. If it's too warm in there, like Kevin said, they'll grow too fast and get tall and spindly.
Like a lot of times we'll move our tomato seedlings outside, like instead of in the greenhouse, we'll put them outside if it's getting too warm in the greenhouse, if it's not time to plant them yet. Like the big growers that you see like at Walmart and stuff like that, they actually will grow their tomatoes and stuff in like cooled, like they'll try to keep their greenhouses and stuff at like 55 or 65 degrees. A lot of them also unfortunately spray them with like growth retardant to keep them from getting real big, which a lot of times is why they don't grow super well when you plant them. But it's really the main thing that makes them tall is too warm of a temperature.
Okay. So here's a question, and I hope that I can explain the answer well, from Gayla Chrysler. What is a nematode? Okay. So a nematode is
like a frog, except no. Oh, that's just a regular toad.
Nematodes are like microscopic worms, basically, that live in your soil. There are good nematodes and bad nematodes. Beneficial nematodes are helpful because depending on the type, they will invade and eat the larval stage of many types of bugs. So before they can actually turn into the bug that comes out and either eats your plants or crawls on you and bites you and that kind of thing, they will eat them in their larval stage. So you can buy beneficial nematodes that you then like mix with water and either like use your hose to spray on your garden or put in your planters and stuff like that can eat some of the bad bugs before they even come out of the ground. Now there are bad nematodes that can affect your plants and can prevent them from growing really well, but don't really worry so much about that. I think that's pretty much more rare than the other things that are making your plants not grow, like terrible soil and not enough water or too much water and all that kind of stuff. So it can be kind of complicated, but if that stuff really interests you, look into beneficial nematodes. I know there are some that are specifically used to keep down like flies in pastures and up near barn lots and that kind of thing that can really keep down your fly population.
I think there's some that are specifically for like the Japanese beetles too.
Yes.
And so,
there are all different kinds of beneficial nematodes, and most of the time they'll sell one kind that kills a big grouping of different bugs in their larval stage. So hopefully that clears that all up for everybody. Okay. Let's talk about guinea fowl. Margaret Duncan asked or said, I heard guinea fowl eat ticks. Have you thought about getting some?
We had some. First of all, again, because we have so much land, we would need to have a trillion of them to make a difference on the ticks, especially here in Missouri. Again, we've just a ton of ticks here. And because there's so much land, I mean, it just isn't practical.
We did try them.
They spent most of their time across the road in our neighbor's pasture eating his ticks. And then they would come back to our place, about the time that we wanted to go to bed at night. And they would make this obnoxious noise all night long. They would never go into a coop. They would roost on the house. They would roost on the barn. They would roost in the trees. And they would make the most obnoxious noise. I don't know. I mean, eventually that most of them did end up just getting eaten by predators,
Mhm.
which, you know, if you stand outside all night making a bunch of noise, you're going
Right.
to attract your own predators,
Yeah.
basically. So I don't know how they think it's a good idea to make noise all night,
I don't know.
but they kind
So
of
we
got what they
tried it.
deserved, I
We
guess.
tried it, and they didn't work out for us. So
Yeah.
that's the
But yes,
summary.
I have heard that they eat ticks as well, and I'm sure that they do. Whether or not they eat enough to make a difference, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We've also had people actually tell us we should encourage more possums on our property because the possums will eat ticks as well. And let me tell you, first of all, we have a ton of possums here. They try to eat our chicken eggs. They try to eat our chickens. They try to do a lot of other things. Whether or not they eat ticks, I don't know. But again,
Well, we still have a lot of ticks.
we still have a lot of ticks and we have a lot of possums.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Rusty Lilac Farm said, "This year seems like a cleanup year on our farm. How did yours do over the winter?" Well, we definitely have cleanup to do. That's for sure.
Right.
Because we've also had a lot of wind and it's blown things all over the place.
Yeah.
So we definitely have.
It has been a windy spring so
things
far.
to do. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the time of year where you start to realize over winter that, it was cold and you're like, yeah, looks like this bucket just goes right here.
Right. Actually, did you chase that one that was in the hayfield?
No, I haven't gotten it
well,
yet.
we need to go look for buckets in the hayfield.
Yeah.
Sea Truth asked, "Did y'all ever think about getting a few horses?" I'm just gonna answer this real quick.
Okay.
No. Neither one of us have ever been exposed to horses. We've never ridden horses. So there would be a giant learning curve for us. I understand the value of having horses for if something happens and
You need transportation.
the modern cars aren't working because of a EMP or something. But we really don't have any plans to get horses, and I've never felt a connection to horses or anything.
Yeah.
So
we have no experience with them and have no desire to gain experience with them.
Yeah. Question from Firefox Kitty 3: Are Jersey cows, do they have, it says A5 milk, but I think that they're asking about A2 milk.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Some jerseys do and some jerseys don't. You have to get your Jersey cow tested to know whether or not it has A2.
Right. We do not know if our cow has A2 milk.
Right.
We personally, our bodies don't feel like it doesn't seem like they need it. We don't have a problem with non-A2 milk, so it hasn't been super important to us.
Right.
If we ever sell milk to people who need A2, or if we ever sell our cow, if we ever decide we don't want her anymore, we will have her tested so that the people know. Right. Yeah.
Rich and Shelley, all of their jerseys are A2, and they sell milk. I see another question here about what's right here.
Oh, hey, actually, let's just go right here because this is just like a natural transition. Lissa Bluz.
Oh.
We are moving to the area soon. We love raw milk. Do you know of someone to get raw milk there? Yes.
Yes, Rich and Shelley at Air to Ground Farms. Yes. Now, they don't sell it out of their store because that's not legal in Missouri to sell it out of your store, but they do sell it from their farm. So you can get a hold of them, and yes, they do sell raw milk.
Right.
And then there was another one here.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on A2 milk? Well, what's your thought on the A2 milk craze? What is the difference? I will say this. I know there are people who have said it's life-changing to switch to A2 milk.
So for some people, it makes a huge difference.
Right. I think for people who don't have an allergy, don't have a milk allergy or lactose or whatever it is,
I don't know if it's an allergy.
That I think switching to just raw milk is the biggest change you can make. I think a lot of people are going to see just a huge difference switching from store-bought milk to raw milk. And then if you're still having issues, then maybe really drill down and go to A2 milk. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of the issues that people have with milk is simply because they're drinking the ultra pasteurized milk. At least that's kind of my thought on it. I mean, if you can get A2 and it's at a decent price, like I know Rich and Shelley, don't really charge any more for their A2 milk than other people around here charge for just whatever milk they have.
Right.
Then go ahead. And I mean, it's definitely not going to hurt you to have A2.
Right.
But I think switching to raw milk is where people are going to really see the big
Yeah.
difference.
Mm-hmm. So try that first. If you're still having problems, then give A2 milk a try.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Share Minor asked, do you guys cut out the weed paper under the flower beds? So when we put our raised beds in our garden area, we put down weed fabric over the entire thing,
Right.
set the raised beds on top of it, and then filled them with soil. And so she's asking, did we cut it out underneath?
No, we did not.
No, we didn't.
No. And I know a lot of people do. Here, we've learned from experience here in Missouri that the weeds, like even though our raised beds are 17 inches tall and 17 inches of dirt, we will get weeds that would grow up from underneath and straight through all the way up the 17 inches and out. And then they're almost impossible to pull because the roots are down in the native ground. So for us, there's no plant that we're growing in our raised beds that need to go down deeper than 17 inches. So we left the weed fabric underneath, and then we just have all of our good soil on top.
There may be exceptions to that for us in the near future because I want to grow horseradish and I want to grow comfrey in those raised beds, and they really do need access to a lot. I mean, a large depth in order to do their job well.
But in our garden area, and I don't think we'll probably find a different spot for those.
Maybe. If we do plant it in that same area, we will probably cut that so that they can get down there.
Right.
Teresa B, thank you very much.
Thank you.
$5 super chat.
Yes, thank you.
She says, hi, when do you think you'll be back to your regular filming? I really miss you.
Yeah.
Well, we did take a month off.
Right.
And when we returned, we resumed doing Monday live streams and Saturday videos.
Right.
And that is the schedule that we will be sticking with for a while.
Right.
Unless something changes.
Right. Yeah. So we do have a filmed, put together video every Saturday, and then we do our live stream every Monday.
Yes.
But we're glad you missed us when we're gone.
Yeah. vgrotweilers.com. I'm so sorry if I didn't say that correctly. Said, are you guys doing the farmers market this year?
No, we actually talked about this in a video recently, but we have decided that we are going to be done with the farmers market, probably for good, honestly. And we're putting more effort into the cattle side of the farm, and we're switching gears a little bit, and we really need the springtime to focus on that. And the plant starts, we're just taking up way too much of our time during that time of the year when we need to be putting effort elsewhere. And the payoff just wasn't worth the 5 months of work leading up to the farmers market. Yeah. So
Bill Sweetland asked, what 5 vegetables are your favorite to grow in the summer?
Tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. Is that 2 already, right? Can they all be tomatoes?
If those are your favorite, that's fine.
I think for me, it's tomatoes, cucumbers, green beans for sure, zucchini.
Okra?
Oh, duh. Thank you. How could I forget okra?
Yeah.
Man.
I would say peppers. I do like to grow tomatoes because I like to use them to make things, and I know how happy it makes Kevin, so I like to grow them for him. Green beans, cucumbers, and I'd say herbs.
Sarah hates okra.
Those aren't vegetables. Herbs aren't vegetables.
If I wasn't around, Sarah would never grow okra again in her life.
No.
But I love okra.
I wouldn't. John Broderick asked, have you ever grown asparagus? John from Ireland. Wow. Thanks for watching from Ireland.
Yeah. We actually have asparagus. We have 2 of our raised beds with asparagus in.
2 or 3?
2, I think.
Okay. But we planted them for the first year. We planted them last year.
Right.
So this year, we probably won't harvest any maybe we'll harvest a tiny little bit.
Like a sample, but
Yeah.
not even probably a meal's worth.
But we're really excited because we love asparagus.
Yeah.
And I love perennials.
Right.
So
it's weird that here, like where we grew up in Wisconsin and in lots of parts of like the upper Midwest, asparagus just grows wild. Like in the summertime, you could find it growing all over the place in the ditches and stuff like that. And actually, when we first moved to Missouri, I asked some people around here, like, "Hey, is there wild asparagus around? Can you find it?" And they looked at me like I was the craziest guy they'd ever talked to. So, so yes, we have some growing. I wish it just grew wild like it did up in Wisconsin, because you could just find it everywhere.
Yeah,
but
I know exactly where there is wild asparagus outside of Rosendale, Wisconsin. I know exactly where it is in the ditch.
Probably not worth the 11-hour drive to go get it.
No. But hey, if you live in that area, you email us and I will tell you.
She'll point you.
Where 25 years ago.
Right. What are the chances that it's still there?
It probably is not there.
Right.
But anyway, it's fun to look for.
Right.
Last question. And I think this is a really good one.
All right.
To end this with.
All right.
It is from Valerie Schauber. Will you ever go back to eating regular food again?
Well, the food we eat is regular food.
We just omit many of the other.
We just omit things, but there's nothing irregular about the food. I know what she's asking though. Will we ever go back to like the standard American diet, or going back to eating all the grains and all of that? I'll be honest, it's doubtful.
Yes.
Because we really feel great.
We feel so good
eating the way that we eat.
I mean, as you guys have heard us kind of grumble in some of the live streams in the past, like sometimes we feel like we're missing out, or we get bored with what we're eating. But overall, you know, in the times where we give in and we eat things we shouldn't eat, we always regret it because we always feel terrible.
Right.
And our health has been really amazing. And we attribute that to, you know, eating the way that we do, remaining as active as we are, you know, taking the supplements that we are taking, and we just feel really great. Right. And I do tell Kevin, and I, you know, tell people when I'm 70 or something like that.
What's the magic age?
I don't know. I'm going to eat the pies and the cookies and all the things, the donuts, the Krispy Kremes.
And I always just smile and nod and say, no, you won't.
No, because it really is making us feel so good. And that's it.
Yeah.
We just want to continue. Right. We want to continue eating well and being healthy and living this lifestyle for as long as we can for our kids and our grandkids, and to remain
so we can remain active, right? I mean, it's like there's a doctor that we really like, that he talks about not only lifespan but health span, and you know, I think that's important. Like you don't only want to have a long lifespan, but you want to be healthy. Right. And living this lifestyle, you need to be able to be active, and you need to be able to be, you know, walking up and down hills all day. So we want to be as healthy as we can.
Yeah. So that was a great question.
Yes. Thank you so much. You guys, we are over the hour mark now. So
it always goes by so fast.
It really does. And now it's so light out. It's really kind of strange.
Yeah. So we thank you guys so much for taking time out of your evening to join us, listen to us ramble. Thank you so much for all of your comments and all of your questions. I know every week we don't get through all of them, but we really do appreciate them. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks again to Rich and Shelley and Gavin for helping us out. And we really appreciate that. Right. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Lord willing, we'll be here next week to talk to you guys again.
Yeah. Same time, same place.
Until then, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.